Soon thereafter, the board may need to formally declare who can make the requisitions, but we'll find out with the paperwork that we should get Big Friday. This is my last select board meeting as your town administrator, and just want to thank the board for its encouragement and ability to and willingness to work with me so well over the past bunch of years. It's really been a great bunch of leaders for this community, and I want to thank you for that. Correspondence, we have a thank you note to the My Community Nurse Project for the town's $2,500 contribution this fiscal year. We have a complaint alleging violations of Vermont Open Meeting Law by the Village Wastewater Committee, specifically not posting its minutes timely. Just want to let you know a bit of an update on that is at this time all the missing minutes are available and posted to the town's website, and by law the committee needs to take this up at their next meeting, and that is this Friday, at which time they would admit that they were in violation, and then within 14 days of that they have to declare what they're going to do to rectify that, and which is simply to get the minutes done within 5 days. We have a notice of a special event permit that was issued to St. John's Beer Distillery at Magic Mountain this past Saturday, and then a reminder email from the Regional Commission about the region-wide select board member meeting at Newbrook, and that's on the 12th of this month. And if you want to register for it, you need to do that. And it's on that document in the meeting packet, or I can help out if you'd like. And that's all I have.
Anything from you guys?
Town meetings tomorrow.
And I think on behalf of the board, we'd all like to thank you for your years of dedicated service to the town and wish you the best in your retirement.
My pleasure. Yes.
I'm going to miss you, buddy.
It's certainly been a pleasure to work with such a professional individual like yourself. I think it's helped our town, not just keep up, but advance, beyond just the flatline community. So, thank you.
All right, item 6, visitors and concerned citizens. 6A is update on Rivers project.
Good evening.
Oh, Megan, can you hear us?
That's Alyssa.
Alyssa?
Yeah, this is Alyssa. Yep.
Oh,
yeah,
Megan's
we
there
can hear you. And you can hear us, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for assisting us in meeting virtually with you tonight. So yeah, we're far down the road with River. We met with you all months and months ago at this point and held a public meeting last July where we collected a lot of project ideas. And so we're here tonight to kind of let you know where things stand with the projects that we looked at in your community, and then make a recommendation for how we would proceed forward with the application phase of River. Some of this, you kind of got a preview when we met last week for the specific project regarding the Cobble Ridge Bridge development. Sorry, it's been a long day. So I'm going to let Megan weigh in soon, but I guess just to give a recap first on the projects we looked at. The first one is the Cobble Hill Ridge bridge replace. Well, we looked originally if we could replace the bridge, and then we looked to create the alternate access. We found out going through a lot of conversations with VEM and looking at a benefit cost analysis that the only project that was fundable through a hazard mitigation grant to assist that development and a permanent solution for a flood resilient accessway was to remove the Cobble Ridge Bridge and to create the alternate access. So we approached the property owners with the alternate access plan last week, and they did not support the project because of implications on particularly two properties involving a septic system and a well that weren't deemed easily enough work. There weren't easy enough workarounds for those issues. So that project, after meeting and discussing that with the town, we decided, Tom, you decided, let's just let that one go. So we haven't, that's off the table for River. Another project that we looked at with River is the Barker Road culvert and the Windy Rise add-on.
It ended up just being the Barker Road culvert, just because of where the Windy Rise culvert was, and it wasn't in a mapped FEMA floodplain.
Yeah, we did look into it, but it was decided just to move forward the Barker Road. And then after further analysis on that one, it was decided that we wouldn't move on that one within River. Can you provide more background on that reasoning, Megan?
Yeah, sure. So we do have a concept design for the Barker Road culvert replacement, and we did go through a BCA and get a benefit cost ratio greater than 1. So we have a cost estimate and compared that to the damages data folks from the town provided us, and it would be a cost-effective project. So we will hand those materials off to you all. But in this round of hazard mitigation grant program funding, it's quite competitive across the state. There's a lot of buyouts that have been submitted, and those are given priority. And just through conversations with VDM, we know that the culvert might not be as competitive. So under the scope of River, we were sort of guided towards, I guess, the third project that we had all discussed with you initially, which was the broader North Village flood mitigation study, looking at primarily floodplain benching and floodplain restoration efforts. So in the landscape of the types of projects that VM anticipates getting, that one might be more competitive than a standalone culvert project.
One thing I want to add on for Barker Road, though, before we move on, is that I did approach my colleagues regarding the Barker Road culvert. My colleagues Colin Bratton, who's our transportation planner, and then Margot Gia, our natural resources planner, and Margot suggested, and she touched base with Marie Caduto today, that if you guys want to try to go put that project into this round of clean water funding, that is something that Margot can help you, Margot and Marie would be able to help you with. And I guess we're looking for, if you're interested in moving on it quicker, that's what we would recommend from WRC. Do you want me to get that ball rolling with you? And Tom, are you the best contact?
Can you explain the clean water program?
No, it's not my bailiwick, but Marco could. I'm basically going to be a go-between to transition you into that lane and working with her if you're interested in trying to take that route to get this one done.
Is that the Clean Water SRF program? Okay, which we did to fund the village wastewater projects. That was the $125,000 for each one, on top of the original $30,000.
I think,
Okay.
Does that mean you can't apply again?
I think we just applied for some additional money for wastewater just to keep our hat in the ring. And it may have been through clean water. I'm not sure. Sorry,
Yeah.
Gary, do you know what was applied for?
No, I don't. I'm not connected to any of that work, so.
I think if there's a chance, we might as well go for it. If everybody's in agreement there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, then Tom, are you the best one to put Margo in touch with?
Yeah, because Shane's last full day is tomorrow, and our next town administrator doesn't start till the 24th, so that would be great.
Okay, perfect. I will make that connection. So, good deal. Now I'll turn it over to you again, Megan, to talk about the North Village.
Okay, so our kind of recommendation for continuing a project under the river kind of scope of work for submitting something for the hazard mitigation grant program at this point would be to put together what's called an application for a phased project, where you initially start off with additional analysis and engineering during phase 1 of a project, complete a BCA, and then based on the deliverables from that phase, move into the second phase of the project, which would be the final design and implementation. With the North Village project, we're primarily looking at properties downstream of the dam and along Utley Brook for potential like floodplain benching, floodplain reconnection to help mitigate the backwater at that confluence. But the biggest thing that we still need to work on, and Alyssa and I have been with Tom a bit on this, is landowner kind of outreach in the area. And given the hazard mitigation grant program timeline, the number of property owners, that's why we were initially thinking of going for the phased application to give a little bit more time for coordination and that initial scoping work. Alyssa, feel free to add on as well.
You're good, yeah. I mean, I think that this one just kind of, it rose to the top as the others fell off, but also the intention of River is towards projects that are going to have an impact for developed village center areas. So this fits that bill. It will be, you know, a longer time to see results with a phased project. But in this situation, with the moving pieces of, you know, a potential dam, you know, the choice around the dam and all of that, I think it makes a lot of sense that it needs to be phased for that reason too. So I think that, you know, there's a lot of parcels involved, a lot of property owners. So it's going to be a more complex one. But yeah, has a lot of promise, and the town was interested in it. So I mean, that's one we would suggest moving to application because it's the only one that would be moved forward.
Everybody in agreement on that one?
I'm definitely in agreement with that.
So Alyssa, were you thinking of doing just the application now and landowner meeting later, or landowner meeting sooner?
Well, I think that Megan and I haven't talked about it too much, but I think that at this point with what we have left, it probably would make more sense to develop the application materials as much as we can from a technical point, and then have the landowner outreach as a part of it. Okay. It's one of those things where if the town is supportive of moving this project forward, then, and you believe that your property owners would be, then I think it makes a lot of sense. We don't want to put forward an application and, you know, I'm looking for your feedback on it, but, you know, when we think about the Cobble Ridge Bridge, I mean, we in retrospect should have talked to the property owners much sooner. And, you know, then we wouldn't have proceeded with that as far. But if you think that your property owners in this case are going to be supportive of the project, then we can use Megan's time to develop more analysis, do any additional analysis or whatever else she can get it farther along in that regard, and then have the landowner outreach once we have more to dig into. I mean, at this point, we don't have a lot of for property owners to give feedback on. We don't have ideas developed too much. It's really just pretty conceptual that this is what we would be doing on, you know, in the first phase of this project. And
No.
Megan, does that make sense? Maybe you have anything you want to add to that?
That's a good summary.
So would this be a scope?
Seeing as how the other issue got shot
Start
down by
would
the
be engineering feasibility.
property
and
owners,
then
shouldn't we
go
get
on to
involved with the property
implementation.
owners first and not waste your
But
time?
do they have dollars for the implementation as well, or is it just?
I think that's the phase
Yeah.
part of it. That would be a further phase.
He's
The
over
initial
there.
phase.
Oh.
Probably not a crosstalk.
Yeah, sorry.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Seeing how the other issue was denied because of property owners, shouldn't we talk to the property owners first before we get you involved with doing a lot of work that's not gonna pan out?
I guess I'll throw that back to you all, especially the select board members. What do you think? How do you think this is gonna go over with your property owners? Is there gonna be interest in this project?
I don't want to probably discuss,
They've seen a lot of flood damages in that area, and
probably gonna want to discuss it with them first.
I think the two projects are different. I think that the more centrally located, the convergence of the Utley Brook and the West River, probably the benefit is not necessarily town-wide, but it's significantly greater, I think, for the downstream. Not to, pick and choose the importance one over the other, but I think from a support standpoint, the right-of-way being a road and the alternate project being a river, I think there would likely be more support in trying to fix the problem in the river so that the neighboring lands aren't affected, as opposed to taking somebody's land to build a road where a remote area has been damaged.
I agree with what you're saying there.
Yeah, I think,
So, I mean, I do think that this project would have more support in that regard.
I think everybody wants to find a solution to at least lower the front water in town.
Yeah.
I mean, until you have something to show them, it's hard to really gauge their support.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And
the hard part.
the
Fair enough.
maybe summarizing what I was saying would be like the landowners on Dairy Woods are basically indirectly affected, and people along the river are directly affected. So I think that the interest in partaking is more direct.
I think people would be good, but it all
It's hard to
depends on
say.
what comes out.
There'll be a variety of responses to it too. It won't be, it may not be
To
unanimous.
Taylor's point, a lot of people have spoken to in that are affected by the area are more looking towards that fixing the river problem than, as you were saying, so.
Yeah.
But as he said, give them some, show them something, and
And I mean, I would acknowledge that it's a much larger, more complex project, and maybe for that reason, it's even more important to get started on working through those details, because it's something that it could take 10, 15, 20 years, who knows what the timeline ends up being, but I think, the only time better to start would have been last year.
last year.
Megan, can I ask you something that maybe you can share with the group? Can you give some ideas for them what type of activities you would be, or, a team would be suggesting to the town to consider along this area and along Utley Brook, just so they have an understanding of what type of thing that would be proposed, and then when in the process you think it would make sense that you would have something that a property owner could understand from a visual perspective that would, make sense to start engaging with them?
Sure. So The kind of the types of projects we were looking at, we have like a pretty general conceptual map right now where we just highlighted areas where we thought maybe floodplain benching, so cutting into the bank and creating a bench where water can fill up the area and hopefully lower flood levels might be beneficial. That was something we were thinking could work well behind the marketplace area. Another thing that we would want to look into in that first phase of the project, which would be for like the preliminary engineering, is areas where there's been historic fill in the floodplain, where landowners are supportive of us removing that historic fill to restore the floodplain and provide that storage. And then the third part that we'd also look at is areas for riparian plantings and more passive restoration. Maybe this is a good option for the part along Outleaf Brook, where we're using vegetation to slow down floodwaters and store floodwater. So there's kind of three different things we were looking at: that floodplain lowering, kind of first focusing on historic fill, floodplain benching, and then vertical along Outleaf Brook, which would likely be the riparian work. I think you could really begin engaging stakeholders at any point. I know that's probably not a direct and easy answer. Like you could share what we submit for the application at like a select board meeting or another meeting or directly with the landowners. It'll be a while before you hear back about the funding. Alyssa, correct me if I'm wrong, but it would likely be 2026 before you even hear back about the funding. So you could also, once you hear, start engaging folks. But I think really, you can engage people at any point in time and just kind of be clear about where you are in the project development.
I think that might be probably the largest challenge of contacting people now is the prematurity of the project and just the lack of clarity. But I mean, certainly keeping people on board, from the very beginning is good, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot really to outline for anyone, specifically. There's a few property owners, very close by that, I mean, maybe just have a meeting kind of like what we did with Cobble Ridge and invite people that may be affected by it and just see what people say.
I think that'd be a good idea.
And Megan, have you had any chance of looking at that study I sent you about narrowing or changing the angle the rivers come in?
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I could definitely read it.
I think that's something that we should look into, if possible.
As Taylor said, that's a very popular one.
Well, I think everybody seems to think it's a good idea, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all on board.
Great. Are there any buyout applications in that area?
No, I don't think we have any buyouts anymore, do we?
Correct.
No buyouts in our town anymore.
Okay. All right, well, so we will advance the application. I'll be in touch and Megan as well, perhaps. We will be coordinating ourselves, but we may be in touch for pieces of information that we need to assemble the application. And the applications are due to Vermont Emergency Management by April 30th. So they'll be reviewed by a state review committee, and then if it is selected to move forward to FEMA, it will be submitted in, I think, June, July timeframe. And I would expect that we wouldn't hear back from FEMA until, like Megan said, 2026, maybe the springtime or so. I mean, typically it's around 9 months. Things are hard to predict, though, when it comes to FEMA timelines. So, yeah, at that point, we would be able to move forward. The first phase, so what this application will be is for the design and coordination with property owners and all of everything that would lead up to getting the project shovel ready, and then phase 2 would be the actual construction phase. So if there's any permitting involved, I guess, Megan, that would happen within phase 1 too. Is that what you envision?
I think we could look back at the guidance. I think that phase 1 is usually the preliminary design, and then phase 2 might be the final and
Okay.
construction, and so you would maybe do permitting at that point.
Okay.
I think permitting would come along with wherever in the timeline that you're going from that preliminary design to final design.
Okay. Can you give them an idea of timing for what you would expect for, the completion of phase 1, the submittal of phase 2, and can you also explain how phase 2 would roll out in terms of, is it an automatic approval of phase 2 with this phased application? Can they expect to definitely receive the funding for that next phase?
You do need to pass the benefit cost analysis to receive the funding for that next phase. And I think it's a little bit too early for me to really say what the timeline would look like for this project, but as we develop the application, I think and a timeline is one of the things that we put together. So maybe when we reshare those materials with all you all, we can have an update then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be years away though.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot.
Would
Right.
we
It'll
have,
be the year's timeline, not the month's timeline.
would we have any other homework, so to speak, as, at this point, other than, trying to get public input?
I mean, I'll be coming to you with a lot of paperwork to sign and that kind of thing. But from my end, that's all I'm gonna need from you is pieces to fit into the puzzle of the application. But from Megan's end, she can answer that.
I'm not sure right now, but I'll think about that. Maybe there's some things along the lines of some of the like older maps of the town, but yeah, I'll think about that a little bit. Nothing major from the technical side. I don't anticipate right now.
Yeah, I guess one other question I have, Megan, is regarding the potential dam removal, or if it would stay, how much would that impact this project at all in terms of the design?
That's a really good question. That's something we'd probably look at during the first phase of the study too, depending on where the dam is at in terms of staying or being removed. Dams mostly impact the stream hydraulics upstream of them, and especially with that dam being a run-of-river dam, I wouldn't really anticipate major changes downstream, which is kind of one of the reasonings for focusing downstream of the dam. Developing a project down there will have those benefits on adjacent parcels and some of the upstream parcels and maybe a little bit downstream. But yeah, I think they're very compatible projects.
Cool. Sounds
So
great.
that's it. I mean, if you guys have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Not hearing any, but if you need anything, feel free to reach out.
Great, will do.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Great,
time.
thank you. Have a good evening.
You as well. Any other visitors and concerned citizens? Gary.
Gary Hackman, Village Wastewater Committee. Shane did a nice job summarizing some of the recent issues that we've had getting minutes submitted in a timely fashion. I've talked to Tom about this issue, and we're going to be making every effort to make sure that that is no longer an issue. We are in receipt of the open meeting law complaint form. We will be addressing it this Friday at our meeting. Moving forward, it won't be a problem anymore. And I apologize to the select board for it being an issue. Later on this evening, you have an application for a new committee member, Corey Mack. I spoke with Corey on Friday, brings a good background, good personality. He's a licensed civil transportation engineer in Vermont. He has experience working with city councils, public works commissions, and we would very much welcome his experience, and also adding to the committee would allow us to have an easier time meeting quorum when we're missing a member due to personal reasons. So with that, the select board has big shoes to fill. Obviously with Shane departing, he's been a great supporter of this project. We look forward to working with the new administrator. Hopefully before your next meeting, we will be providing the select board with a draft ordinance and fee structure for the village wastewater system. And we probably need to start, talking with the select board about the overall governance that we might envision for administration of the system moving forward. We're being assisted by John Kieran at RCAP, as well as Matt Backler at WRC, some really great project support from both of those entities. So I think that about covers it. Hopefully you guys can appoint Corey later on this evening. Appreciate it.
Good. Thank you for getting it.
And I am going to be around through June on a part-time basis, so I'll still be plugged into that project as necessary.
That's right. You made that promise. Take the oath on. I have to head out. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Heather?
Hi. I just wanted to know, and maybe this is already on your radar, likely it is, but Chris Morrow is going to be at the American Grill tomorrow to sort of take notes, answer questions about the education reform and things that are happening. I think it's really, really important information. We all have a vested interest as taxpayers, even if we don't have children in, the public schools. So that is happening tomorrow. I think it's Thursday. Oh, it is?
Yes, I was just looking that up. Yeah, it's Thursday at 5 p.m.
Okay, my bad. Thank you. What am I? Oh, town meeting's tomorrow. Town meeting's tomorrow. That's Thursday. And then I think the week that follows, what is the 17th? So maybe 2 weeks that follow that. There is a special T&G meeting, which I think is going to reveal significant changes to our school district. I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that is also going to be one to follow.
Thank you.
I did have one more announcement, and I should have included, you being here reminded me of that. We have issued an RFP for a new website. It's out on the street. We sent it to 4 vendors. That's all they do is municipal websites. And they're due on the 19th, I believe. And given Eileen's background in the technical world that I'm not in, she should be able to really help out in that process. It's kind of like the first project we're coming in. Right now, we're trying to schedule a meeting the day after she arrives to look at those proposals.
Great, thank you.
Good. Anyone else? Okay. We're on to item 7. Town officials business. 7A, discuss upcoming annual town meeting, Tuesday, March 4th at the town hall.
It's happening.
Anyone got any questions? Everybody ready?
I'm ready.
I think we're ready.
Ready as we ever will.
Are board members going to make motions to adopt the different warning articles? Isn't that something you do from time to time?
You mean, as a precursor to the town meeting that we
To
would
move
go
in,
through?
yeah, some, you know, you can move and second, the articles.
Usually not in the floor.
Didn't we already did that anyway by doing the warning.
Yeah.
Well, no, well, when they come up, whatever, it's often,
When they come up at the meeting?
yeah. You should, normally there's.
Yeah, usually somebody from the floor.
Yeah,
Somebody
usually
moves it.
somebody from the floor. does.
Yeah.
The board never has that. I've been involved with. Any other discussion? The only thing is stick around a little bit after the meeting. We do have a couple things to finish up, get ready for.
Is there any comments to be made on parking or potential lunch or like the important stuff?
No lunch.
We haven't done,
No lunch.
we haven't
Parking
broken.
at the church, Josh
Yes.
nicely sanded the church parking lot today.
Yeah, we haven't broken the lunch.
Yeah.
The executive
Yeah,
session.
and they cleaned up
Oh,
out
that's a
here.
different one. That's for a different thing.
I
I
don't-
guess
Is this
you
for,
could put a sign up that
Tory
says
Mac or-
parking at church.
Okay, I wasn't here.
I think people know how to.
Yeah, no, this is
Yeah,
for something
a lot of
different.
people
I don't think they can
roadside.
park up the road. I
They're
don't
not
think there's
supposed
any
to,
room.
but they generally do.
Yeah.
Sorry, we didn't explain
That's
that
at
to
your
you.
own risk.
What's that?
So that's at your own risk.
No, it's
If
for,
you're ahead, It's
Yeah.
your fault.
What I say it was, duties and procedures of the town.
We do have no parking signs
Yeah.
from when we had town meeting outside, so.
I think we're doing it at the very end.
Yeah. Might have to see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
What time you want us here tomorrow?
I usually try to get here a little before 9.
I'll be here before nine.
Okay.
We'll save you a seat.
Might be here
Depends on how far away you are.
But we're gonna finish
Yeah.
up our setup tonight, so shouldn't be anything to do in the morning. Hopefully.
Well, we'll be here at 6:30 to
Yeah.
get polls, so we'll be here.
Yeah,
at
polls
7.
open at 7 for
Yeah.
voting. The
Voting down there?
No,
So-
Out front.
so if anybody wants to count tomorrow night after 7.
I won't be there.
Okay.
After 7.
Yeah, polls
Polls
close at
close at
7.
7.
so.
Yeah.
I'll help.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on. Item 8, transfer station solid waste management, 8A is updates. The only update I have is Nick is working out pretty good. He's still doing some training. I don't think he's quite at the point where they're ready to open on Sundays yet, but I've heard good things. So,
He said he's enjoying it.
I would like to say something about the machine. I was told that it doesn't print receipts,
it does not.
so it has no receipt, and what was the other thing? That was right in my head a second ago. Oh, there's a little tiny sticker on there that says plus 3% on your credit card. And it's so small, you can't see it. I think it should be
I
bigger.
can make it bigger.
All right.
Okay. It's an easy Tina thing.
Pretty much anywhere you go nowadays, you get 3% added to your credit card.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And my eyes are bad too, so.
Yeah,
And the receipt thing, there's nothing we can do about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That was
the
just
machine doesn't print receipts.
unfortunate.
That's too bad.
They can come see us at the office if they want a receipt.
Yeah, because they have records of who
Yeah.
bought
Right.
cards.
I mean, can't they just take a
Yeah.
picture of their punch card? That's in effect
Yeah, but
a
they're not
receipt.
numbered, so
Yeah.
it could be,
Yeah. But you do have the ability to look online and see someone
Yes.
got it, so
yep.
you can do what you see. And today it was down for a little bit because the credit card processing companies had an
Was down.
outage,
Yeah.
so.
It's always something.
Yeah. All right. Item 9, roads and bridges, 9A's updates. Ooh. Which one was
That's
her?
you.
You're here, so I'll let you take over.
Got the fuel, his equipment was 2,559 gallons for the month of February. So it was a busy month.
Is that up?
I don't have sand and salt figures. I told Tom and Taylor if you guys would like them, it's gonna take a minute, but I can come come up with it unless Tina and I can figure out an easier way to do it. So Tina and I are gonna visit this week maybe.
How is our salt supply holding up?
We're doing all right. I've got some more loads coming. Just trying to keep the shed, something in it. I mean, they said there was no problem with it, so.
The suppliers aren't in it.
Yeah, where we're getting it from the other day when I called, because there is the big, you know, you've seen it on the news and everybody, but one of the truck drivers said they were loading off the ships the other day because it was just easier to load the trucks right from the port because they had so many trucks coming in. There were 2-hour waiting lines down there to get loaded, which, you know, being a truck driver, getting paid by the load isn't good. So, I mean, the sand pile seems to be holding up. There's quite a lot there, I think, so I think we'll be in good shape, or hope, you know.
It's only the beginning of March.
Yeah, well, that's we don't discuss it yet.
Knock on wood.
I mean, the help seems to be, you know, everybody's worn out. Donnie's been a savior. He's nice to have around. Does well, and Troy's picked up his game quite a bit and has improved a lot. So.
I'd say you guys have done a hell of a job with what you've been throwing out this year. Not an easy one, by any means.
And they graciously moved our safes back into the office today.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Safes are in place. They're level. I think they look pretty good.
Truck purchase is
That's
Yeah, that's next on the agenda.
on the agenda separately.
down a
Yeah.
couple more.
Yep.
Nothing for you two?
Nothing additional from me.
Moving on to 8B, discuss V-Trans fiscal year 2025 municipal highway grant application.
This was discussed briefly at the last meeting, and each year we put in an application. One of the things I wanted to find out was where we were on the approvals list for the region. If you look at the bottom, on the top of page 15, District 2 mentions that the structures grants were number 8 on the list and number 18 for Class 2 paving grants, and they do recommend we put in for a structures grant. Even if we're number 8, we only take like 5 or 6, but you never know, someone else may drop out. We've been lucky enough in the past to do that. What we did do last year is put in for, and I include that on page 18, is Windy Rise Lane West, that culvert, and it'd be easy enough to dust off this application and put a new one in, if that's what you want to do. We did pave that road this year, so it doesn't mean that culvert's still not in bad shape. It's just that we went ahead and paved it. So, there's other projects out there.
The Windy Rise is pretty important. Even though the help secure for now.
It's just going to sink through again.
That's pretty low. It's too high needs, so.
Sounds good to
You've already
me.
got it written up. I said, let's do it.
I just check the date on top.
Yeah, do simple and easy. Stick with that.
Yeah, I say let's do it.
Everybody's in agreement?
Yes, sir.
Does that culvert flow into the one that's under Route 100? Is such a problem?
Yeah.
And that one, I'm part of that process, and that one is supposed to be done in 2026. Because they have to do an easement on my property, so I've been involved there.
But does whatever we do on Windy Rise affect the flow, or?
Well, it's gonna be upsized quite a lot. I mean, it was an 8-foot box culvert when I met with Scott Jensen. So it's, and I assume the state's upsizing and
Yeah.
replacing theirs, so.
I don't have it in front of me, but I can tell you. I got all the information at the
Yeah,
house.
I mean,
I think
I wouldn't,
they're both
Definitely
designed based
upside.
on the same
right.
water flows, so that they'll be built consistent with each other. Ours won't restrict theirs and vice versa. I think that would be the design.
I assume. I think so. Yeah, I knew you wanted to hear that one, Paul.
That one on 100, it's gonna swallow somebody someday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I always go in the oncoming lane if it's passable, because I don't wanna be the one.
Yeah, the state was having trouble getting hold of one landowner. I think I figured that out for him, so. I think we should be good now. Hopefully.
That wasn't their only hurdle by the sounds, but that's one less as well.
Yeah.
They're fixing that in 26. Is that gonna reflect a lot more traffic up over Melody Hill?
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's not the detour.
It's
They can only detour on state highways.
Yeah.
It's a 17-mile detour.
Serious?
Yeah, they gotta send, because they can only do it on the state road, so they gotta send them all the way through Winona.
What they'll sign will be state roads, but local traffic is gonna
Well, we can
go
get
right
200,000
on
anyway.
our roads.
I know me and Shane have talked about bringing that up with the state, just say, hey,
So I'll just stop.
you
at
know
the
our
program.
road's gonna take the brunt of this.
I'll just stop it.
Give us
Maybe a little
extra-
help here, but
Yeah.
I doubt that would go.
Did they do that job on
Number two on
a
Windy
weekend
Rise.
like they're talking about the
Lane
one on
West.
11 for the cattle pass? Or they're gonna,
I don't know, I doubt it. They're talking about quite a long
Replacement
time.
of,
Replacement.
Because they're talking about bringing an excavator onto my property and clearing some trees and stuff to get down into that culvert. Yeah. It's gonna be a process.
needs to be done.
It does. I told them they probably wouldn't get too much resistance from anyone in town on getting that fixed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll make it.
Okay.
I move to authorize the town administrator to submit an application for funding under the V-Trans Municipal Highway Grant Program for replacement of culvert number 2 on Windy Rise Lane West.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, moving on to 8C, consider purchase of new highway department vehicle. Yeah,
The 05 Mac is, 20 years old, it's tired, worn out. We're trying to get into an 8-year rotation. So, I mean, the 18 is working on the 8-year rotation. So we're, I think it's time to replace the Mac. I'd like to eliminate the bid process, I guess is my first ask. Trying to keep all the trucks the same, keeps parts, supplies, maintenance. I think we found a good vehicle that's holding up to what we put it through. As good as the next, our service, had great service with Reed's, bringing stuff over there. So I did get the price from Scott Reed that you guys have in here. That's with the Viking body, so all the bodies, the trucks, they'll all be consistent and the same. Just keeping storage for, wing arms or bed chains. Everything's, should be simple and easy. And like I said, we've got a tired old truck that. Yeah.
it's the older dump truck.
Yeah, it'll be getting rid of the 6-wheeler, buying another tandem. We'll keep, if we ever become a 4-man crew, we'll have 4 tandems to plow with. If we don't, we'll have the tandem for a spare, which, like my truck was down with an injector problem a few weeks ago, and I was running the Mac as the backup truck.
And the Mac is in '05, and the next truck in line to be replaced is a 2018, which is already on schedule for replacement. So if we get rid of the oldest one and keep that one as the spare.
Keep it as a spare or the
and it, you know,
new driver.
Right, it'll eventually get replaced, but at least it's not in the primary fleet for use when it's it'll be overdue for replacement next year.
And the old one is a standard, and that was one reason we probably didn't get one crew.
Right,
interviewed.
We had an applicant that the standard was kind of the deteriorating factor. I mean, it's
Could
nice
you
to
drive
plow.
a standard?
No, they can drive it.
No, they can drive it, but the automatics for plowing in the streets and the intersections, I mean, it's time saving, it's easier, it's just nicer to drive, you know?
Basically
I mean,
coming from an automatic going back to a standard, because I've done the standards before, but he was just.
Well, I think the biggest factor with those older machines and being standard is fatigue for the driver too. I mean, it's just.
Oh, true, yeah.
More physically demanding to drive, like you have to drive that truck. It's not an easy or comfortable piece of equipment. So.
And I know I said it before, that the highway equipment, it shouldn't be the same as a lot of bids that we do for other stuff. It's just, you buy new equipment, you need what you need, and that's that.
Well, the International's all owned by the same fleet owner now, you know?
Alliance.
So you can't, and there is Western Star out there, there is, the Max. I mean, like I said, I've had with the motors, the trainees, since 2017, 18, I think it was, I've bought 3 of these, well, between Matthew and I on the first one. And they seem to hold up with the Cummins engines and
I think, like you said, have the same parts with each truck.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, service, you call and they've squeezed us in and try to get it back as quick as they can, where.
We'll come and pull you out there.
Yeah, or come pull me out of the ditch in the middle of the night.
I can tell you as someone that drives for a living, it's a lot easier having the same trucks, the same parts, just makes life easier.
Consistency has way more benefits than diversity in that.
Yeah, and I mean, we spend
situation.
$20,000 to $30,000, even $40,000 on this Mac, it seems like every year with maintenance and, bed chains, the frame rails were rotten. Like, it's just, we're spending a lot of money. And I mean, it is backup, it was handy, but we'll have this other truck that's, you're putting more material on, so you're making less trips back to the sand shed. Time and energy wise, it's more effective.
Trade-in value is better.
Yeah, the trade-in value on the tandem is better than a 6-wheeler. Your contractors like them. And I didn't ask Scott about trade-in on this. I mean, I did, but we didn't hash that out in the price.
In general, it's a more durable piece of equipment for the punishment that they get. I mean, it's just, it's built for it, so.
And I think it gives us just that much more to try to find that 4th person.
So is the determination then sole provider? Is that what we have to?
Sole source.
Or sole source
Provider, yeah.
provider? There's nothing magical about that. It's just what we choose.
No, the policy allows the board to, you can waive the policy anytime you want. Vote to waive the policy and sole source with this vendor.
And I think you said 6 months, like we were saying?
Yeah, he was figuring, he said if I went August, September, I'd be fair. He said that the tandems are coming quicker than the littler trucks. I did price out a little one in case. I mean, I'm not really looking forward to another small truck, but I didn't add it in the packet just to not confuse things, but if that's what you want.
You get the same specs as the previous?
Yeah. The only change up would be, we had problems with the plow light wiring because they did a cap change, and that's in the new spec. So, I mean, we found some bugs with this last one we just got, but it's been updated and remedied in this one.
You come with headlights?
What's that?
Did it come with headlights?
Yeah. Well, they wired them to the work lights, so they were timed to shut out in 2 hours, so you better be done plowing quick. But, you know, a few hours and figuring it out, remedies, and, I mean, the computer stuff in vehicles now it's enjoyable.
You got a ballpark on this?
It's right here.
It's on the
It's in the
page,
packet.
Yeah, it's right in your packet.
actually, the page number.
You're
This one.
169 for the truck, I think it was, and change,
Then
and 107.
22.
107 for the dump
Oh,
body.
page 22, that's a hell of a deal.
Not for
It's about 57,000 over the last one.
$277,000 and 600. Yeah.
Price isn't gonna go down.
No.
Like I said, I think it was 50-something thousand difference from the one we bought, the last one. And they're changing, I mean,
this part.
emissions laws are changing again, and so they're gonna go up.
That's on top of that?
Yeah, the total is what Tom just talked about,
277,600 is the total.
which Josh was just saying was 50,000 more than the last one we just bought.
Chassis and the bottles for the body.
He's getting
This
cheaper.
is pre-tariff.
What is always that on?
Well, maybe.
Most.
Wouldn't you fire the
A good
good
portion.
Truck was
Yeah, no, you got other costs in the truck.
difference, and then it was the body company was the big expense, and all the metal,
Yeah.
so.
We don't have it bought yet, so I don't know if avoiding the tariffs.
This is
a
good
guarantee,
for
but-
60 days, I think it says, I don't remember what the number was on it. But
So,
What's everybody thinking?
I'm definitely in support of this idea. Making everything the same, and
20 years is way too long for a town to have a truck.
I like the idea of making everything the same and then really getting a start on this rotation.
Yep.
I think that's been the goal for longer than we've been able to do it. And we finally
That too.
perched to do what we set out to as far as,
Yep.
you know, keeping the equipment on a replacement schedule that,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're all welcome to stop, I mean, the new truck, and come see what you invested your money in. I mean, it's versus me sitting here explaining, and, you know, I mean, you're welcome to stop in and just give a jingle, and I'll walk you through it, or,
Take a run.
I mean, I had a selectman when I was in Wyndham, I picked him up at 3:30 in the morning on the way by his house, he rode the whole route with me, just to understand what we do for a living. I mean, there's controls and levers and shifting and back and forth and traffic, and it can be
parked
exciting.
cars and broken down cars.
Yeah, broken down cars and
Bitches.
it's fun.
Yeah.
I'll take you up on that.
Anyone care to make a motion? We don't have one right now.
You don't have one there.
No, we're gonna have to come up with one.
Would
What was happening?
is the motion to accept the proposal or
Purchase a new truck,
to,
accept the proposal and move on to purchase. I would say, if everybody's in agreement.
and this is from Reed's, right? So I would make a motion to accept the proposal from Reed's for a new truck at $169,800 and adding a proposal from Viking to install a dump body and plowing and sanding equipment for an additional $107,800 for a total of $277,600.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who seconded?
I did.
There you go.
And
Perfect, thank you.
to accept by purchaser, would that be me, John? Somebody has
Just
to
to
sign
sign
it.
the paperwork?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And authorize the
Tina?
chair to sign the paperwork on behalf of the board.
Sounds good. You have that paperwork, Denise? Or we need to get some more?
Probably have to get more.
Yeah.
This was like, yeah, will you accept what I'm throwing out? And
Yeah.
I'd say contact Reed.
so I'll give Scott a call and talk to him a little this afternoon just to confirm when the truck. He said if there's any change on what he thought, he would call him. I didn't hear nothing. It's just a lot.
Can I ask Tina just a question? Where does the 277,000 coming out of?
We'll make a down payment from the reserve,
Equipment
reserve and then
reserves.
finance the
It's usually like 4 or 5 payments of like 50,000. You know,
I may
large
do a little
payments,
bit more of a
usually
down
in
payment
there.
as we have it.
Okay.
Like my truck is 2,000, but we just got the title the other day. It's paid
Yeah.
off, the one I drive. You know, it's a-
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, just as he was giving me the proposal, I got the title.
And had this been a budget item that we had been planning on?
We don't
Take it out
budget
of
it
the-
because it comes from the equipment.
Yeah.
It's a equipment, a scheduled equipment replacement is essentially what it is. So by saying that we now have 2 trucks scheduled for equipment, one is an '05
Yeah.
and the next in line is a 2018. So this one that we're replacing, or that we're taking out of the fleet is long, like twice as overdue.
So we do budget the debt every year in the debt schedule.
Yeah.
We make the payment out of the general fund. We make the down payment usually out of the equipment reserve
So
fund.
that would be the 27 budget.
Yeah,
Right.
And would you be trading it in or selling it like to Auctions International?
Well, that I didn't really discuss. I didn't put it in as a trade-in. But,
Because auctions tends to be pretty good.
well, it's, I mean, I've kind of discussed the chipper, like, we don't use it much anymore, so we might want to try to sell that in the auctions. We got the safes to get rid of.
I mean, with what that backer went for, I'd almost say just go with the
Yeah.
auction and see.
Right.
You never know.
Well, maybe what we could do as just a follow-up to this approval is confirm the number that we just approved. And if it changes with a trade-in or any other equipment that he can or cannot provide.
Well, it'll definitely change with the
Update.
trade-in.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, that's, I guess, I can discuss tomorrow with him. You know, do you want to accept our trade or do you want to not? And other than that, that's the price.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'd be good to at least put it out there and see.
Sounds good.
I mean, I guess the good thing about trading it is we'll have it till the new one's done. So if we do need it, whereas if we advertise it too early and get rid of it, then we need it.
Well, and we know from our very recent experience that they can take longer than we
Yeah.
said.
yes.
So, I mean, I'm into hanging on to it until the new one. I mean, we can still advertise it at the auction after that, but I wouldn't want to get rid of it till the new one's here if we can help that.
See what they'll trade it for. If they, I mean, they know the truck.
Yeah, I'll do that and get back to everybody.
Sounds good. All right, moving on to 9D. Consider applications for excess vehicle weight permits. Both of these guys put in every year.
Yeah, standard. Surprisingly, we've got fewer than, we normally get about 25 of them, and they're due by March 15th. Oh no, March 31st. So I'm just surprised we haven't gotten as many.
More.
We're only number 6.
You best get them in.
Right.
You ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I move to approve the excess weight permits for St. Pierre Incorporated, GW Tetro Construction Incorporated, and authorize the town administrator to execute the permits on behalf of the town.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. On to item 10, old business. 10A, office renovations project. Consider proposal for data infrastructure services.
You have in the meeting packet a proposal from Clark. The page. Yeah, CL Connect, Spelling Clark.
What page is that?
26.
26, the cost is $3,207. I don't know if you remember the last meeting, we got a credit of $4,000 and change because we decided not to have the primary do it, but have these folks do it. So we just saved $1,000 there. But this is at the recommendation of Pete Smith, our IT vendor. This is a person he uses all the time. I think
He's done work for us before.
Yeah.
He did the phone system,
So
prior
this
phone
is
system.
very specialized work where they have to certify the connections and put in a rack and all that.
Looks good.
If you saw the amount of wires that were going into that room, you'd know something.
And they didn't mark any of them.
I would move to accept the proposal from CL Connect LLC for data infrastructure services for the town office renovation project in the amount not to exceed $3,500 and authorize the town administrator to execute the necessary documents to secure the vendor services on behalf of the town.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
We rounded it up a little bit just in case of something.
Good. Fair. Moving on to item 11, new business. 11A, Village Wastewater Project, consider application for congressionally directed spending for Phase 2 of the South Village Wastewater Project.
Bruce has a question for you.
Just not to nitpick, but I just happened to read through this, and the 48 port HD patch panel is less money by $2 than the 24 port. So I'm not sure the estimate is accurate as far as that goes. On page 26. At the bottom. I mean, it's a minor, but
I don't know why. For $2.
Yeah, $2.
But it's twice the capacity, I think is Bruce's
Yeah.
point. But it could be a supply issue. You know.
Right, they only come in 48s and 24s. And we're gonna get the total.
That's a good question for us to ask. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for paying attention, Bruce.
Well, this is the, each year or so, there are federal earmarks that are called the congressionally directed spending. In the past, they used to call it pork and earmarks. Now it's called a congressionally directed spending. As you'll see in the meeting packet, we were able to get on the list, thanks to Heather, to get on the email distribution list from Senator Welch's office as to when these came out. So it's out, and we can apply up until March 28th, I think is what it is. And I think a great project would be Phase 2 of the South Village wastewater project. We're talking $2.5 million or so. I can't remember we don't have an exact figure. That was an estimate early on, but it could be a competitive project. We're already in there, already doing it. It's sized for it. It is a priority at the state level, and so I think we might be in good shape to do it. The question is, who's going to spend the time and energy to do it? I did not look at the application to see how technical it is. Have you?
Yeah. There's one part about the ARPA money. I think we need to get clarification from Lynette, maybe. So
Yeah.
I don't know who the new person, who the point person is, but
Can more than one person work on it, you know?
work on the application.
Yeah.
I don't see anything preventing that. You can do it to sign up and do it through their portal.
Yeah.
It's like page 16, on page 16 and 17, basically the project checked all the boxes except the clarification, is the ARPA money okay? Some of like the cost sharing. So someone will need to clarify that. to
Okay,
see-
yeah, I'm
to
pretty
see-
familiar with how the money flows.
Yeah,
on the
okay,
project.
so that was, the one question that stood out. Otherwise, it looks good. Yeah, the 28th, let's do.
Yeah, I mean, I could work on it, but I'll be busy with other things in our limited hours, but it's a big deal. And if it's, you know, it's only this month, it's March, so it
Right.
could be a priority for this month.
Right, and our most recent conversations involved folks from Solo Restaurant and whether or not they were going to be included in the South Village wastewater programming. And
Well, I think they're potentially included in phase one at this point, because there is a possibility that because of another community that had their project go away because they
so
didn't
there's
have
some money available.
some money freed up, and we may be able to actually double the capacity of phase one already with by virtue of some technical innovation, pre-treatment.
That would all be in phase one.
Yeah, but phase two is, again, we have all the infrastructure in place
That's great.
through phase one to do phase two, so it could be just a real, very, very competitive project.
And I'll recommend from the Village Wastewater Committee that I sit on, that I think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, there's also community development block grant funding out there at this time that we need to get a better fix on how much is actually available. I think statewide it's $67 million. And I think a lot of that is directed upstate and not down here, so I want to get a better fix on really what kind of money we're talking about, because if it's $2.5 million, well, maybe we should apply for that as well. And hopefully one will happen. But if it's $250,000, and speaking with Tom about this, my sense is to put it toward the Spring Hill Road culvert, where we already have a funding deficit of roughly $200,000. So it might be, you know, that is already funded through two other grant programs, so it might be a good way to top that off. So.
And Eileen did say, so our new incoming town administrator said she wanted to learn how to research and go after these kinds of grants. So I think the more we can get her assigned to this sort of stuff, in tandem with you, or say this is your baby, go with it. Yeah.
Whatever you want to do.
It looks like there's only about a 4-day overlap in the application time and her starting the 24th to the 28th.
Yeah, I was thinking of the secondary, the CDBG funding, potentially, you know, give her.
I think there's more time available for that, but we just need to find out what's the order of magnitude on funding availability.
Yeah, that one, the state said they had a plan coming out mid-March, I want to say, in the email that I got.
Yeah, and we talked to Adam Grinold from BDCC, who had reached out to us about the program, and he was talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, not millions. So we need to get some clarity on that.
I did hear in the last meeting that the 90% final design is phase two. That's what I heard.
Phase two?
Like it is, yeah, right?
No. Well, no, the final design includes all the phase two design in it.
Yes.
Except for the household connections, but running the major lines and all that is all part of, it's all being.
Action for this funding.
Sorry?
So my understanding at the last meeting is that the goal with the current funding, because there was funding at the end of, I forget what meeting it was, but sort of that dipped into a housing funding pot. And then to finish the phase two would potentially be the congressional funding.
Yes,
That would
yes.
even potentially be that significant. That's what I heard.
Okay.
Because it seemed like without any kind of official contract, the North and South Village were oversubscribed. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
Happy to make it. Who are we going to first?
I think she Maybe you might have volunteered.
Shane, did you volunteer?
Sometime.
Okay, Shane slash Irene. Okay,
Hopefully.
I authorize the town administrator.
let's do that. Okay, so I move to authorize the town administrator to apply for congressionally directed spending for the full estimated cost of Phase 2 of the South Village wastewater project on behalf of the town.
Second.
You might want to say town administrator or.
Assistant.
Or assistant
Yeah, or assistant, because
town
as of
administrator. Okay,
Wednesday, I'm no longer the town administrator.
correct.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're on to 11B, Village Wastewater Committee, appoint new member to fill vacancy. He's on page.
So there's a little bit of a history here. Corey's name came up because he was the supply manager for the flood response in July 23. We were looking for volunteers around town, and somehow he had heard about it. So we had the folks who were doing, you know, the IT spreadsheet work to match people with projects. Corey said, I'll be your guy to go and get mops and buckets and move them around. And he did a fantastic job. He lives right up above the shopping center on, is that Dome Street or Dome Lane? Yeah, yeah. Nice young guy, young family, and I thought, and I literally just sent him an email and said, would you be interested? And he said, absolutely. Like, perfect. So I think he's a good person.
Anyone can make that motion?
I move to appoint Corey Mack to the Village Wastewater Committee.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Go on to 11C, consider agreements with the Nature Conservancy accepting funds related to the sale of the Glebe Mountain McGraw property to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Seems like a nice gesture after the large dollar amount of the sale.
Yeah, so that was part of the original agreement, I recall, that we would be following through to this, on this,
Now-
following through.
Did the original $5,000 went through the Conservation Commission? So this would go back to them?
That's my recommendation. It should, I mean, that is where it came from, so at least the 5,000, but.
20,000 for taxes.
Oh,
Go to
tax
general
base.
fund.
Yeah, that would be just the,
Payment in lieu of taxes, and Tina mentioned that we do have a budget line for payment in lieu of taxes.
that makes sense.
Fish and Wildlife never got back to us about that bridge on 121, did they?
No, you remember that they have a program at Fish and Wildlife where they will help make improvements, transportation improvements. And because this property is in both communities, we were talking about taking that box culvert on Route 121 right at the property, you know, the town boundary, and have them fix that, because we did an assessment of that at one point, and it does need some concrete work in a big way.
And there's been a lot of conversation about who should do it, Wyndham or Londonderry, right?
Well, bullshit.
Right.
It's the town boundary, right down the middle of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did say they have a pot of money that will help to improve access to that portion of land that is access.
Yeah.
Might have to reach out to them again on that one. All right, well, anyone care to make a motion? I don't think we want to deny it.
I move to
Don't
accept,
turn down money.
yeah. I move to accept the terms of the proposed agreements with the Nature Conservancy related to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service acquisition of the Glebe Mountain McGraw property. Such agreements provide that, one, $5,000 of funds from the town's conservation fund provided to the town in 2019 to assist with the purchase of the property is reimbursed to the town. And two, the town will receive a one-time payment of $20,000 to compensate the town for lost tax revenue resulting from the transfer of the property to the federal government. The town administrator is authorized to execute the agreements on behalf of the town, and the $5,000 reimbursement of the town's funds shall be redeposited into the town's conservation fund with the $20,000 booked as a payment in lieu of taxes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, 11E is executive session for the purpose of duties and procedures of the town.
I move to enter executive session for the purpose of duties and procedures of the town.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
$100,000 or more to put into this building, at least. Going? Came out of executive session at 8:27. Anyone want the last motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.